guys and gals, and welcome to the Monday, June 1st episode of Morning Coffee and Chat. Hope everybody's had a good couple weeks. I have not. But hey, what else is new? The wife decided that she couldn't afford to smoke anymore. So she made me quit as well and made sure I couldn't just go and buy cigars because she took all the money out of the bank account and put it on her personal UKG card. So yeah, I'm breaking apart cigar butts and making menthol pipe tobacco. And this stuff does not want to stay lit in a pipe. Good morning, Tony. Hope you're doing good this morning. Hope you're enjoying this weather. Well, Cher, I don't know if I'd actually consider you being late, dear. I mean, you were like a whole minute and a half late. So, and you see, you're not the last one to pour in. Good morning, Mr. Holton. Hope you're doing well today, sir. Ben, big bad Ben. Well, what in Shamizi here just happened? There we go. Now we're back again. Let me make sure this is fresh. Oh, gotta keep it fresh. Keep it fresh. I'm not too shabby, thanks. Uh, Stuff will not stay lit. First person I ever met in my entire life that even though you have money in the bank, you don't want to spend it. Well, you don't want to spend it on you. You don't mind spending it on the kid, buying, you know, new cookbooks or new boots or something like that. But, making sure that I don't turn into America's next great serial killer by taking away my tobacco is not exactly amongst especially when I spend, 10, 11 hours a day just sitting here um, working on both channels and trying to get weddings set up for the summer and trying to get investigations set up. After almost 40 years of smoking, just to be said, no more, and it not be your choice, I love you. I love you. Um, oh, let's see here. What do we got here? Well, hello, Sam. I remember you from being in here before. Oh, yes, yeah, we got a great big bag of latex gloves that the kid uses to cook with and everything. So, oh, yeah, we got gloves. Matter of fact, Hold on, Sam. I had to do some painting the other day. Ready for this? I'm a glove. I'm a glove, Sam. How was the Ren Fair? Ren Fair was great. No, no huge issues. Great crowd. Here, I'll tell you what. We're not going outside for this one, so. Uh, Ren, there was no big issues, no big security problems. Um, no thefts reported, nothing like that. So no missing kids, like we had last year. So I mean, it was great. The weather was nice. Sunday morning we had 3 or 4 little 5-minute downpours, and I mean, just it was just light enough to get your attention and say, "Hi, I'm raining." And then it was done. The sun had come back or come out. Everything was dry. Once the sun came out, nothing else for the rest of the day. It ended at 4 p.m. I was packed up and out of there by 5, and I packed up, paid, and said all my goodbyes, and was out of there by 5 o'clock. It was it was nice. Um, Let me see here. Um, Good day, Ben. Yeah, how's the weather way over your way? Are you guys on opposite sides of Australia, or are you relatively close? No big shocker. They don't really talk a lot about Australia in American schools. So I mean, I know where Perth is at. I know where Victoria's at. I know where um, yeah, that really awesome looking city with the great big amphitheater on the water. Um, I can't remember. I can't believe I don't remember the name of that city. But yeah, they don't give you locations. I mean, we know of an Outback, but the only Outback that we know the location of is Outback Steakhouse. So let me see here. I like to stay and watch the live stream if people wear disposable gloves on both hands. So wow, the live streaming as well as keep it on both hands just for me while you're live streaming. Issue is I have a lot of touchscreen stuff around here, and I'm sure being the hand covering expert that you are, you know that constantly removing and reapplying a glove after a while it don't want to go on anymore because of the sweat, and but it comes off real easy. But when it comes to operating touchscreen devices, it don't work. So that is the only reason that sadly I must say that I cannot wear disposable gloves on my hands during a live stream, and but I apologize. But if it makes you feel any better, I'm going to be going out and doing some weed eating in the yard here in a little bit. So, because the wife and daughter have to go to one of those, diabetic doctor appointments 2 hours away, not very long after I'm done here. So I will be going out and weed eating, and I will be wearing disposable latex gloves on both hands while I'm doing it. up and pop them. Um, you remember that? You remember that comedian? You guys may not have seen him in Australia. We used to have a comedian that would take the white or the tan latex gloves and put them on his head down to right here and blow out his nose until they puffed up, looked like a great big swollen, um, looked like a chicken with hydroencephalitis. Brain swelling and stuff. Had his little thing sticking straight up on his head. Um, Australia. Ain't nobody wearing gloves, buddy. Nowhere. Marlboro is at. Nope. No clue. Never even heard of Marlboro up until just then. I've been told about this huge, historic, haunted cemetery in Australia. Thousands of graves. It's kind of like the one in Niles, Michigan. That's got 11,000 graves on 60. I think it's 65, 66 acres. And but I mean, it's huge and it's historically documented as being haunted. I've heard of it 100 times. Have no clue where it's at. Let me see here. I'm down in Victoria and Ben's to the west of me, about a day's drive. Sydney. Yeah, Sydney, thank you. The Sydney Opera House. Okay, gonna try to start creeping up the chat here a little bit. Um, Sometimes I hate technology. New song was supposed to be released this morning. Apparently something happened, so it comes out tomorrow morning. Huh. Well, that's cool. Thanks for the heads up, though. I'm sure it's going to be epic, just like everything else you released. Today is big day. My I had to go to the my back tooth fix. Morning, Ian. See, I don't have any teeth anymore. My dad and I both suffered from a long-term genetic Ellsworth curse where when you hit puberty, the enamel on your teeth started chipping and breaking. And well, back in the 80s, they didn't have all the wonderful enamel replacing uh, stuff that they do now. So, when you're 15, 16 years old and you're eating an apple and snap off two teeth because the enamel up along the gum line has completely gone off. So all you're dealing with up there is the more squishy inside of the tooth. Where it would break off, you'd cut the inside of your gums or the inside of your lips and everything. So I just finally said, screw it. I wasn't going to deal with it like Dad did. Dad is still dealing with it at 85. He's got some partials now where he um, had his teeth removed, but some of his teeth are still, like little black nubs. Looks. Please don't punish me, platform, for saying this, but my old man, if you didn't know any better, looks like he's got a bad case of meth mouth. Um, but yeah, it's the same enamel deficiency that my grandfather had, and my great grandfather had, and I guess my great great grandfather had. And the dentist had told me at one time when I went to get my teeth removed that because of our strong Northern European genetics, the Norse, the English, the Scottish, the Irish, that when they started using formaldehyde and all the preservatives in meat, red meat to keep it red and stuff like that. Um, the preservatives in the meat was eating away at the enamel, which also gives us, you know, weaker bones much sooner now than what it would have, 100 years ago. So, double D's. TJ, I'll definitely keep an eye out for it and add to my Spotify playlist. Cool. Your crown broke. Believe it or not, the daughter just went to the dentist 2 weeks ago. She had one of them like right here, right behind her, or two teeth back. Yeah, two teeth back from her eye tooth. The one that kind of looks like a short vampire fang. She was eating pecans, or not pecans, pistachios. And a pistachio is not a hard nut, um, not like super hard. But she bit down on it wrong, and it split that tooth in half all the way up. So she had to go in and get it removed, then get like 2 stitches. Of course, they put her on laughing gas. It didn't work. So, yeah, yeah. And, of course, the dentist told the wife, well, if you want to keep her mouth fresh, then you need to get on Amazon and order this specific mouthwash that is almost the exact same thing as like the $5 bottles at the store, but this was $27. Um, and I showed that to the wife when it got delivered, and I was like, you can't spend $17 on a box of cigars, but you're going to spend $27 on Crest Ultra Care. I love you. I freaking love you. You guys are going to be dealing with a lot of that. It's been stressful. Oh, let me see here. But good luck with yours, Ian. I know it's a huge, resounding pain in the butt to um, to deal with your teeth. A lot of people don't realize the nerve connections when they have good teeth, when they have the good strong genetics, and they haven't got tooth issues. That even though um, the the teeth grow out of the gum and everything, the nerve endings in them teeth are amazing. And just having a damaged tooth, um, oh, it can mess up your sinuses, it can give you headaches, it can make just life unbearable. So yeah, definitely if you have issues with a tooth, you definitely want to get that stuff taken care of as soon as possible. Need to start releasing more than just one song a month or every 2 months. Also, do let me know if you still want to do that interview. Believe it or not, I am still trying to figure out the StreamYard thing. I, for some reason, cannot get StreamYard to hook back up to my phone. Don't know why. but it lets me go so far setting it up, and then it starts repeating whenever I try to hit next. Excuse me. Whenever I try to hit next, it goes right back to the screen again, to the top of it. So as soon as I figure it out, I'll let you know, and we can make something happen. God, my beard looks terrible. Can't get my teeth fixed. Insurance claims I don't exist in Missouri. Um, Go back to your mom's place for a week, and then you'll be back in Iowa if it don't get blown away first. I don't know if you spent any time online last night, um, but the few times that I came in here to hit my pipe, um, I was watching storm chasers in Kansas. The other day I was watching them in, what was it, Colorado. It was quite interesting. Melbourne to Adelaide. Ah, okay. Well, see, I know what Melbourne is, and I've heard of Adelaide. So okay, there's two more cities that I don't know where they're at, but I've heard of them. Then again, I've heard of koala bears, but I've never seen one. So I've heard of eucalyptus, but I've never seen one. 452 miles. Wow. I guess you just don't realize how big the island is until you start seeing those measurements of distance. It's like when my friend Alan was here from England. You know, he's 90 miles north of London on the way to the Scottish border. And he was completely blown away when he came to Michigan and realized that Michigan was as big as Scotland or England. You know, you got Scotland, which is, about the same size as Michigan from the Indiana border to the Canadian border. And then you add Indiana to it and a small chunk of Ohio, and you have got Scotland and England and Wales and everything else. So, and if you add, Kentucky and the rest of Ohio to it, you've got Scotland, England, and France. So, I see far too many people out chasing. There is a risk that traffic will get people hurt or killed. Um, Australia is a continent. Yes, 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 yes. Couldn't convince my wife of that. But then again, we are talking about the woman who believes that Washington D.C. is located in Washington State, and the president's faces are on the Rock of Gibraltar. No joking. Me and the wife still to this, or me and the daughter still to this day, when somebody says something about, hey, do you know how to get to? And well, if I don't get it out first, my daughter will say it. I don't know. Ask mom. She's a geography expert. I'm sending some soft toy koalas for your wife, so you might be able to bribe a pack of six. Nope, like I said, she wanted to quit smoking 2 weeks ago, And I don't even want to think how many packs of cigarettes she's bought herself. But I have no income, therefore, when I can buy my own, then but since this eye is still not up to par, trying to walk outside or do anything, especially when I try to move really fast, that whole equilibrium thing goes again, and I start to get an upset stomach. It's all like barfy, icky. It's a complete reversal than what it was when I had the cataracts. Because this one here went before this one did. So I had decent vision here and no vision here, and it made my depth perception, my equilibrium, everything whopper jammed. Since the surgery, now this eye is perfect, but I'm still legally blind in this eye. This one here is 20/20, and this one here is 70/20. So, yeah. And it looks like it's in HD. If I close my right eye and look through my left eye, all of the light is really bright and the shadows are very dim, but it's all blurry. It's not foggy anymore, but it's all blurry. So these help a little, but they don't help a lot in the sunlight. So I wear them around the house, and wear uh, I wear these when I'm outside. I am currently sporting a 12-inch ponytail for the first time in my life. That's what they call those things now, ponytails. That's that's impressive. I mean, I can see I'm letting mine grow again. I decided that I just couldn't. I just couldn't be bald anymore. Probably because the three times that I've actually sheared it down and shaved it, I've burned it outside. It's like, well, it's time I grew hair back. Not to mention, being a wedding officiant, uh, and getting that fired up. A lot of people don't want a bearded, bald, Gandalf looking mofo conducting their wedding ceremony. So, this probably will not grow much more than what it is right now, but maybe with a nice styled haircut and stuff like that, it'll be better. Now ain't the season to be bald. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm worried about this summer. For the last month and a little bit, um, it's just been rainy here, rainy. Even when you look at the forecast and it says, you know, 11% chance, 12% chance, and it'll rain like crazy sometime during the day. But at the same time, 800 miles, mom and dad's place in Tennessee, they had like a 20-day drought or something like that. And then all of a sudden, last week, became dry as could be up here, and it's done nothing but rain down there. I mean, to the point where they're back to having the pond in their front yard. Uh, it has rained so much that the water didn't have a chance to go through the culvert. So the whole front yard was, in the center of their front yard, they had about 16, 17 inches of water. I would think that Gandalf would be popular. Good morning, Jan. Good to see you, love. Hope you're doing good. That was a cute little video the other day that you put out. Had Jay back there weed eating in the distance. You took everybody on a tour of the farm. What'd you call that? Windy Acres, or I think it's Windy Acres. It's a cute name, regardless. And being all open like that, I'm sure you get the windy. That's for sure. Windy View. That's it. Windy View. How are you? Thank you. Share Windy View. Yeah, I'm sure it lives up to its name. That's for sure. Um, but yeah, I've liked the videos that you've put out so far about it. For those of you that don't know, Jan and Jay moved here a few months ago, and they got a very nice outside of the the town piece of property, and they got an old barn out there. They've got like little patches of um, orchard trees and grapes and stuff like that spattered around the property, and it's a cute little house. I really love the day room. They've got that big room with the tall ceiling, and the big windows with the fireplace right in between the windows. Stuff. It's a really cute little property. It's one of those places that you go to, and or one of those places that you buy and go to live in, and then realize I could take off, or I could take off out of the house with a thermos of coffee in the morning and not come home till dinner time. I've thought that many times with looking at the videos that she puts out. It's like I could find something to do, even if I'm just walking and looking. I could find something to do somewhere on this property, or I wouldn't have to walk in the door all day long till I heard the dinner bell. Thank you, bro. If you're available later, I'll give you a call. Sure. We're at the base of Appalachia. If you want to, Jan, since Share's relatively new to the channel, if you want to, you can throw your link up in the chat. That way, Share and whoever else might crop in later after after the live has ended can link up to you. Eventually, we'll get the rest of the land cleared. Uh, you guys might have to go out and lease a bush hog the first time. Just to cut down that small forest that's growing on those acres. But after that, how many acres is it? Like 7, 8? Probably more than 8, because mom and dad's place, yeah, I was starting to say mom and dad's place was 3. And, without being able to stand and look at the whole property, it's really hard to tell. But their 3 acres seemed like it was huge. I really think it was more than 3 acres, but mom swears up and down it was only 3. But I mean, they had a house, a a rose house, a barn, and about 100 oak trees. And the oak trees barely touched each other. So I got a feeling it was probably closer to 5 or 6. 25. Wow, it's a lot bigger than the old property. Ah, now I'm going to shut off. No, I might not. I think I still got enough in there for almost another cup. Probably not. No, nowhere near. Last cup of the day. A little bit of cigar. A wee bit of sweet Irish cream. Foo coffee. The hill of trees that you can see behind the grapes and blackberry is where the old cemetery is. You gone out there and done anything yet? I know you got a few toys laying around for contacting the living impaired. Not yet, but we'll soon. Have you at least gone out there and looked at some of the gravestones to see the dates um, that are on them, or are they even still readable? Being open like that, I'll be really shocked if they're even still readable. If there's anything over, say, 100 years, um, that stone usually don't last that long. Bloody thing. Only one stone that is engraved. It's protected since it's among the trees. That's very cool. That's about like the right cemetery that Mark and I done just north of town here, in between us and the next town over. It's it's a very old cemetery. It's actually got one grave in it from just after the Revolution. Um, then the rest of them are early 19th century and up to early mid 20th century. But I would say 90% of the graves in there you can't read. The ones that have been up or right up against the tree line, you can read them. Hey, Mr. Spachi, driving. Who's gonna drive you home tonight? Ooh. Well, be careful. Be careful. There's a lot of weird people out there, and a lot of them don't deserve to have a driver's license. But then again, you may be safe. You're not in Indiana, so not unless you're coming up here for coffee, and then you're good. Buddy, come on. See, that's the problem with recycling your cigar butts. They'll burn so long, and then it won't relight. So you wind up throwing away half the tobacco in your pipe. Yep, sure enough. Had a chance to. Uh, this is actually kind of funny because, well, it was funny at the moment, but the more I think about it, the more upset I get. I was talking to a dude at the grocery store the other day, well, a farmer's market on the edge of town, and he was talking about marrying his fiance long about August or so. I told him, I said, perfect time to do it. I said, it's starting to cool down a little bit. You know, the wife and I got married right down here at the log cabin at the end of June 2016, and it was hotter than the devil's um, Wawas um, on the 25th of June. And he said, yeah, that's the reason we want to wait till, middle of August or so. And I said, do you guys have an officiant yet? And he said, uh, okay, I'm going to quit talking for a second. Okay, now I can talk again because the little ball quit going spinny, spinny. But I asked him, do you have an officiant yet? And he said, no. Do you know a good one? This damn thing. He said, no. Do you know a good one? I said, well, I said, the wedding I done last year, um, I was crowned best officiant ever. And that was in my little thank you bag that I got from the bride and groom. And he, cool, do you have a business card? And um, the wife is coming around out of the aisle I was standing at the end of, and his wife was coming out of the next aisle over where, all the sauces. Yeah. But I said, I'm actually waiting to get new business cards. I said, but I'll be more than happy to give you one of my old business cards and just, change the contact information. And his wife's like, well, if you can't even keep up to date business cards, then I think we'll keep looking. And he kind of looked at me and rolled his eyes, and they walked away. And I looked at the wife, and I said, well, I I said, I'm kind of glad that happened that way. And she said, why? She goes, that's, decent money that you passed, that you just lost right there. I'm like, well, anything I work on or be involved in, I like to know ahead of time that it's going to be a success. It's going to work properly. It's going to move. It's going to move properly. The operation is going to be smooth. I said, and I can see right now, just from the way she's acting in public, and they're just engaged, that there's probably a very good possibility that they won't even be together in the middle of August, because either that thing in her britches is made out of gold and that's why he's with her, or he had one of those really wild and crazy overprotective mothers who talked to his dad that way, so that's just what he's used to. And sooner or later, since he's young, he's 24, 25 years old, he's going to realize that he deserves better. So, yeah. May I say, Sean Cody, good morning, sir. Hey, Drew, and hey, everyone. Just got to work and only have a minute, but good to see you. Good to see you too, bud. Hope you have a good day at work. Don't work too awful hard. It's going to be another pretty day, at least over here, so I'm sure it's not going to be too awful terrible uh, over there, west of us. We're supposed to be low 70s today. We're going to stay in the 70s up until Thursday, and we're supposed to hit 80 on Thursday, 81 on Friday, and 82 on Saturday. So, which is good because I don't know if you guys remember last year, but every year since they put in the beach and the new pier and stuff, we do the beach bash. Usually end of May, beginning of June, every year. 2 days, bands both days, beer garden, food carts, or food trucks, activities, uh, local businesses, advertising, things like that. And this coming weekend is the beach bash for this year. So, I mean, it's going to be perfect. I wanted to set up my pop up and my tables and advertise, for the wedding venue thing, but not without new business cards. There are a lot of simps out there. Sounds like should be difficult to work with. No pleasing those kinds of people. No. Should be nice today, pretty much. Same coming up to the mid 80s. That's the way I look at it, you know. I can live with the 70s and the low 80s, even the mid 80s. But, when we start getting up there, 98, 99, 105, 110, which is weird because, 27 years ago, 26 years ago, when I lived in Texas, I didn't mind 110 or 115 degrees. Fast forward 26 or 27 years, I mind it a lot. It's very uncomfortable. Um, Oh, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you guys now that I'm better. Um, I wanted to show you guys this eye right after the surgery so y'all can understand why I kept it under cover. Where is my face hole? There it is. That's what it looked like 2 days after the surgery. That's why I didn't want to show it to anybody. There it is now. And I mean, it's the colorings. Hold on a second. This is probably going to hurt. There's still a little bit of discoloring. That actually looks a lot better. Last week, right below the bottom eyelid, there was still a line going straight across that was bloody, but it looks much better now than it did. Send me your warm weather. It's winter here and cold. Good morning, David. Good to see you, bud. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, it was really messed up, and that's what upset me was this was the normal one, but because they as like I've told the story before, they were putting the cataract or they were putting the lens in, and the bag that the lens is encased in ruptured. So instead of pulling it back out and putting another lens in, they went on and stuck the ruptured bag in. But as the fluid was leaking out of that bag, they didn't want the eye to swell. So they went down behind the eye and pulled uh, your eye juice out in the same amount as was leaking out of that bag, so the eye would still stay. Um, what's the word? Consistent with what it normally should be. Um, so that's hence all the bruising is they had to, since they were going in behind the eye to pull the fluid out of the eye, they had to shoot me again while I was numbed already because they were moving to a different location. So I wound up getting not only the eye swelling from having a needle stuck in it and having a cut done on the membrane to pull the cataract out and put the new lens in, but I was all bruised around here because they had to shoot me more to numb me to go in behind the eye. I, so normal cataract, third world cataract. This one come out 2020. This one somewhere in the 70-20 still. It might even be, 60-20 now. So like I said, I can see out of it. It's not foggy anymore, but it's not clear. It's very far off from clear, but it's like it's in HD. So if you're looking at something, the light, like yesterday was mom and my sister's birthday, and I called my sister on Messenger, and we were chatting, and she was sitting out in her garage drinking a beer, smoking a cigarette, and the way that the light was shining on her face, she was bright here and bright here, and then she was bright around the top of her cheekbones. All that was very, very, very crisp and bright, and then everything else was shadowed and darker. But it was like all of these white lines were made out of light. They were shining so bright in my eye. So I had to wind up putting my eye patch on and talking to her one eyed so it didn't give me a headache how bright it was. Going outside and doing stuff on a bright day, ain't happening. All right, Sean, you take care of yourself, bud. Take care, have a good day, and we'll catch you later. Yeah, it's super crazy. It's super crazy, and I won't be surprised because this guy's one of those I know more than you kind of people, and don't even like to listen to concerns or um, he'll listen to questions, but he always turns them into a "oh, don't be concerned" kind of thing. I've gone all over the world and done cataract surgeries in third world countries. What have you done with your life? So, yeah, I told him, when the surgery was over and it was all messed up, I asked him. I said, "Are we going to have to do the surgery again?" Oh no, I've never had to repeat a surgery in all my years of being an optical surgeon. I've never had to repeat a surgery, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for him to say, we could always repeat the surgery, because I ran into that issue with my eye drops. They wanted me to increase the eye drop dosage to drop the pressure in the eye and everything. But my insurance only has the eye drops set for uh, like one bottle of each eye drop per month. And he increased the dosage, but my insurance didn't want to pay for it because their doctor said you're only supposed to use this a certain amount of time. And I went to him and I told him that, and I went to his nurse and I went to his technician, and they argued that my insurance was stupid and didn't know what they were talking about because they were an insurance company, not doctors. I said, no, but they have doctors that work for them and explain these things to them. And so what they done is they had to go through and they had to finally rewrite the prescription to let the insurance company know that I was using the drops in both eyes. Oh, we don't do it like that. Well, you've obviously never dealt with Blue Cross before because that's what they require. Well, I'm going to call them and I'm going to tell them how it's going to be because I'm the doctor and they're an insurance company. I wound up rewriting the prescription, and yeah. I wish you could have had my surgeon. He was wonderful. The same thing mom and dad said. Theirs down in Tennessee. They said he was great. No issues at all with either one of their eyes when they had everything done. No significant swelling, definitely no bruising, and dad, you know, 70 years of wearing glasses, he didn't even have to wear glasses anymore after he got his done. Mom wears, reading glasses, but that's it. Um, I I got a black eye similar but worse than that by taking a mirror off of a VW Beetle, screwed to the roof with my face when I hit a telephone pole. Uh, mine was somewhat compared to um, calling Mike Tyson a very mean alternative word for kitty cat. That is also sometimes used in the human female body naming of things. Um, yeah, it was terrible. And that wasn't even, that picture I showed you wasn't even the worst that it got. That was the day after the surgery. It actually turned completely black. There was no red, there was no purple, there was no nothing. I mean, it was black and it wouldn't open at all. That's why I wore my black eye patch around because you couldn't actually tell where the patch ended and the bruise began peeking out behind it. I still have a crease. Wait. Drew, have you ever heard of Fred Hollow's Foundation? He's an Aussie doctor who set up the foundation to provide free eye surgery in third world countries. No, I have never heard of him. I still have a crease in my skull from that one. Wow. And most people don't think that the beetle was made that strong. I'd love to get my hands on a beetle. I found a 1968, my birth year, yellow beetle for sale right here at Grand Rapids, Michigan. Looks like Bumblebee from the Transformers. If I had 2,500 bucks, I had 2,500 bucks. That would be my everyday driver. Hello, Debbie. Good to see you, love. Hope you're doing good. Good to see the eye patch gone. Good to have the eye patch gone. Every once in a while, I got to slip it back on, but nah, it's just because of the sensitivity of this eye still, where they botched up the surgery. But yeah, for the most part. Let me see here, Tony. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, there ain't enough money to get me to call Tyson. Nope. Jay, I have owned a few Beatles. A G3, 71 and 72, 63 and G3. Ordained minister, not a priest, but um, the collars, the shirt, um, any religious person can wear them, but they become more widely known for Catholics. But yeah, a lot of people believe that they're only for Catholics. But no, for the longest time, Catholics didn't even wear them. They wore the long gowns, which I have one of here somewhere, kind of like a choir gown. But well, here, perfect example. Um, if you ever watched Little House on the Prairie growing up, the minister, that preached their church, they were Baptists. They were not Catholic. But when they done that show, they based the descriptions of people off of her writings in the 19th century. And um, she wrote that, his suit and his collar um, were always crisp and clean, even based on the fact that he went everywhere on a buckboard. So I just noticed the clergy shirt. Yeah, I've decided to go on and start doing, those more unique weddings. Um, Probably because I live in a Podok country town. We have 3,000 people here and 6 churches. So people have a tendency of trying to shy away from the spooky stuff. I mean, I still get calls and things to do spooky stuff, but there are a lot more people around that need a good, affordable minister to conduct wedding ceremonies and stuff like that. So I decided to take advantage of my license and, start offering that, especially the fact that I'm not affiliated with any religion. So I can do a Christian ceremony, I can do a pagan ceremony, I can do a Norse ceremony, I can do a Native American ceremony, I can do anything they want. I mean, I showed off pictures of my own wedding. I was in a kilt, the wife was in an Irish um, gown. So every beetle I owned got, oh, it advanced. Every beetle I owned got less than 20 miles per gallon. Wow. I've never heard of them getting that low of nothing wrong with that. Uh, Debbie, even the 1000 cc one, how you get less than 20 miles per gallon, 1000 cc's. It's a business. It was in the States, 1963. Get married one day, and you can be the man to do your thing. Well, Ben, it would be my honor to um, officiate your ceremony. Um, Give me enough time to get my passport. Sadly enough, though, for a long distance travel to conduct a ceremony, um, I, um, I have to include travel expenses in my fees for conducting a ceremony. Um, for here in the States, I could jump on a Greyhound for, like $100 and be just about anywhere in a few days. Australia, eh, might take uh, maybe not take longer, but it's not going to be $100 to travel. So yeah, but we'll talk about that later. Don't get me wrong, the Beatles, like band, um, ceremony, bloody thing, like band, don't get me wrong, the Beatles. They had a love bigger than the Beatles. hours. Great. I'm in Australia. It's 23-hour flight. Oh, that's right. Debbie's down there too. So we got Victoria, we got Debbie, we got Ben, and we got Cher all in Australia. And they probably live less than 2 hours from each other and can go and do uh, amazing videos together. But 750-pound rated overload springs and the shocks to give it clearance. Conversion's not too bad. We stopped using Imperial 1966 before my days, but I still use it a bit. Yep, I've never, and all the cars that I've owned in my life, I have never owned a Beetle. The closest I have ever come to driving a Beetle was driving a Corvair. For those of you in America that are older than 40, 45, 50, 60, I'm sure you've all seen a Chevy Corvair. That's about the closest I ever came to driving a Beetle. I would love to be able to find a Beetle van. That's what I want, is a Beetle van. But, if I was stuck between a newer car or just a Beetle, I would definitely pick the Beetle. Debbie's in Sydney. Cher is in Victoria, and Ben is in Adelaide. Ceremony. Get back up here. You could come to the farm and do a Native American ceremony for us. I don't know where the Greyhound bus station is, though. Well, I'm not walking because then you got to buy me shoes and an oxygen tank. Corvairs are pretty cool. Corvairs were very cool. We had a Corvair Monza Spider twin turbo. Looks like we all live in different states. That was a frightening car. Me and my mates flipped a Beetle back in high school. We had a grudge against our Japanese teacher, so we flipped her car. Young and dumb lessons learned. Adelaide, I'm in the middle. We'll find, I would think, there's one in Chillicothe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's probably one in Chillicothe. So, God, it's been forever since I've been to Chillicothe. Used to date a girl just south of southwest of Chillicothe, because you went through Chillicothe, and right there where the Lion's Den is at, on the highway where it tees off, you turn left, and the big hotel's on the left hand side, and you turn right, and it's just all woods and stuff going all the way down the highway right there. She used to live down there about 7 miles. Her dad was in the military, so didn't like somebody, dating his muffin. Don't like it when somebody's buttering my muffin. I was born and raised in Brisbane, Queensland. I'd like to go to Queensland. I'd like to go to New Zealand. There's a group that's got a channel on the platform called, yeah, VLDL, Viva La Dirt League. And they are out of New Zealand, I believe. They do like the old um, gaming, the RPG, but they do videos, live action videos where they're playing the parts, and it's just funny stuff like women in video gaming and um, falling in love in a video game and epic NPC man where Alan's always getting screwed over somehow or getting messed up, caught on fire, blown up, something. But they are very, very funny. Um, Actually, the scariest car I've ever driven was a 71 Dodge Charger with a 440 Magnum. I got you. We know where the VA hospital is. The scariest car I ever drove was a 1971 Ford LTD. Um, Very, very, very light green with a black Landau top and a 429 in the engine compartment. And I'm here to tell you, when you pull off the highway on a straight, flat country road and you stomp on that accelerator, you are going 0 to oh crap in about 3.3 seconds. And in uh, a mile and a half range, you're still accelerating. You're well over 100, but you're still accelerating. Go snap your neck. I did it to one just to see how fast it would go. And when I hit that accelerator, it snapped my head back. And when I hit the 1 mile mark, I was doing about 110, and the needle was still going up. I love Queensland. I was born and raised in Darwin. Spent a lot of time out in the bush. Took the 6 pack off and put an 850 Holly. Telling you, but that was a good car. I was one of very few. Let me sit back here. Hold on. I was one of very few people who knew about the cave on Mount Gravett Mountain. We do not want any suspected spam this early in the morning. Okay, on Mount Gravett Mountain in Brisbane. One of my pictures was used in one of the local online news articles, which they did credit me for the picture used. I had a 69 Merc with a 429 Interceptor. So the Merc was, now they were probably close to the same body weight, 69, 70, 71. Land yacht, regardless, but the 429 was made to haul, that's for sure. Um, Charger would eat the fun alive. Charger would peg the speedo on 0, wrapped around past the 160. The thing with the 440, it would turn 8,000 RPM, and the Merc would do like 5,500. it would float valves. Oh, back in our young dumb days, guys. Back in our young dumb days, I'll never understand why my grandmother and my grandfather bought that LTD with the power it had. They never went on a vacation. The only time, I was born in 68, so they bought it the year before my sister was born. And they never went on a vacation. They never went more than 50 miles from home. They never went above 50 mile an hour until I was 12 years old and they moved to South Carolina and they drove it down there. And then when Grandpa died, Grandma moved back up to Indiana. And, but that was the farthest that car was driven. That was, that was 50 times further than that car had ever been driven in its entire life for, you know, 10 years. So, why you would go out and buy something? I mean, that's like an 85-year-old woman who never goes further than the grocery store or the church, 2 blocks either direction from her house, going out and buying a Bugatti or a Maserati or something. Why are you going to go out and buy something that costs pretty much your annual income, um, to never go anywhere or do anything with it? I mean, that's like going out and buying a dragster, just to drive to church on Sunday. Really have no idea how fast the Charger would go. It would put so much downforce on it that the exhaust would track. I think it would actually do 160 or 170. The question is, would the tires grip at 160 or 170? I seen a picture yesterday of a race car, uh, somewhere from Saturday, I think it was. And, it had all the ground effects on it to keep the downforce going, so in the event of a wreck, it didn't, you know, do its little flippy thing. And this was a Porsche, but it was literally the front end of it. Something happened on the racetrack and it got an air gust that went under the ground effect and it picked it up, and the back end, everything behind the back tires was dragging the ground, and the back tires were the only thing making contact. Everything else was sitting like 4 feet off the ground at 160 miles an hour. So I always wondered about that. I remember watching stock car racing and stuff with my dad when I was real little, and I remember how easily the cars would flip when it got a little bit of air underneath them. So they engineered that front plate that went below the bumper to so the air would force it down, so the car wouldn't lift up anymore. But you get a little gust of air under it, and that thing goes straight up like a rocket. So suspension is unstable at 100. Stupidest thing I did was I was 16, went to get my horse from mates and saw a beautiful olive python crossing the road, so I grabbed it, put it in my bag, showed Paul, and it was a king brown. Wow. Yeah. Wow. That could have been a very, very bad day right there. My Paul was not happy with me at all. Lucky Didn't know we'd stir up the death adders near the creek. Wow. I guess when you grow up and you're used to being around that stuff, um, people here in America, we used to make fun of, oh, what was his name? Doggone it, Steve Irwin. Well, I can't say we did. There were people here in America that made fun of Steve and the way he would go to these different locations, and he'd be like, "That right there is one of the deadliest snakes in all the world. You a bite from that little bugger will drop a man in less than 7 steps. I'm gonna go give it a kiss." It's like, dude, seriously? Wow. I had a Ford Ute. I used to thrash about. You could hear it from blocks away. I would do fishtails, standstills, and skids. Heading out, we're going to town to do some errands. Cool. Have a good time in town. Enjoy your errands and your wifey hubby time. And love you bunches. And I'll talk to you later. First time I ran across a badger in person, it was an eye opener. A Ford Ute. God, I've not heard that name in forever. A Ford Ute. It's insane. We uh, we took the wife's aunt to the grocery store day before yesterday, and when we went to take her home, there was a '69 Ranchero sitting just right before you turned into her apartment. That was the prettiest thing I ever seen in my life. And why in the name of God Almighty it was sitting at that trashed out house, I will never know. But it was definitely a pretty little car. Hmm. How in the world I dropped so low, I'll never know. Utes are what you guys call trucks. Huh. I didn't know that they were trucks. I thought it was a specific kind of truck or a specific kind of car. I didn't know they were just what you guys called trucks. Did you guys ever have, and Tony's going to have to remind me what these things are called since him and I pretty much came from the same era. There used to be a mini truck that they made here in America, and it was a standard cab. It had the bench seat in the front, and then in the back, right up against the back of the cab, they had two mounted bucket seats that people would ride in the. I mean, they were made to ride in the bed. And I think these things quit getting made right about the time that they outlawed people riding in the bed of a truck here in America. I do not remember. The Brat was one, but they made another one. I think it was a. I think it was a Chevy or something like that. Maybe a Mazda or a Toyota or some BS. I don't bloody know. Not in the mood for spam. No spam. No suspected spam. Hell, I just want a half-ton single cab with 8-foot bed. Just stopped by to say before we head to the city this morning. Good morning, Jay. Good to see you, bud. Have fun. Have fun running around with the wifey. Um, it's a utility vehicle, hence ute. Trucks here, you need a vehicle license to drive. Oh, wow. I did not know that. There was some kind of that stuff in the top removable SUVs like the Bronco or Blazer. Yeah, but the Bronco and the Blazer, they always considered, even if you took the back end of the roof off, they still considered that in the cab. These things were, God, it was like a Mazda or something like that, or a Toyota. But it had like a steel bar that was bolted to the bed, and then had these two bucket seats that rested right up against the back of the cab. I think some of them even had like a roll bar right above your seats. Um, but yeah, they were real popular. And then, of course, some, if I remember the story correctly, the dad was drunk and wound up wrecking the truck with his kids in the back end, and one of them got seriously hurt, if not worse. So all of a sudden, this law went into effect everywhere that you couldn't ride in the back of a truck anymore. So, um, the Brat. I think that was it. I think that's the one I was thinking about. Was the Brat? Was when I remember it had seats in the bed. Um, Early Blazers were full open topped. I think I remember seeing one of those one time where all you had was the windshield and then it was straight open. Kind of reminded you, seeing it drive down the road, it reminded you of an old, what they call them, the Thing, where you had the windshield and then the whole top snapped off of it. You could leave it somewhere in your um, garage or whatever. Let me look that up real quick. Where's the Ute? It, let me see here. Australian Ute. Hmm. Let me find a good picture here. Blammo. Reminds me of a ranchero or an El Camino. The last ever Australian built car. Roll off production line. That's nice looking too. Oh, now don't be a stinker. That's kind of cool. You our Utes over here will blow you away. Hold on. I always kind of wondered why they didn't do a removable top on a Suburban. That actually makes sense. That's a good question. You would think they would with all this, with all the seating in the rear. But yeah, you're right. I have actually thought about that in the past. I used to love my Bronco. I had a '78 Bronco, and she had the lift kit on her and stuff. Um, but I would all the time in the summer pop the back end off of it and not have anything there. But that was also my beach runner when I'd go to the beaches at the reservoir and stuff like that because, we had the whole back end of it. We had speakers mounted, then we had plexiglass with holes drilled in it. The old man hooked up a big Mama Jamma stereo in it with a booster and stuff, and that would be what I would go to the beach with during the weekends, and that would be like the party thing. There's some nice Utes by Ford and Holden. Check out the burnouts they can do. Look up a newer model. I had '78 Bronco and an '86, '87 Bronco too. The Cloud they built with spanners on chopsticks over here. Bronco 2 was great. You know, it's funny you mention a Bronco 2. You guys know my dad was a service manager at a Ford dealership for 40 years. And dad got demo trucks every year, or demo cars, demo vehicles to go out and demonstrate and drive and let people see. And the year the Bronco 2 came out, mom wanted one. So new ones came in. Dad got a Bronco 2, red and silver, a red and white, my bad, um, for mom to, drive. And show off to her friends at the factory and stuff like that. She didn't have that thing for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And she was going to work one day. A semi came this way. She was driving along, going down a hill. The semi was coming up the hill. The air force off that semi hit the front and right underneath it and lifted it, bounced it, turned her completely sideways in the highway and rolled her. She never wanted a Bronco 2 anymore. Those things were notorious for flipping, rolling, not flipping, but rolling. It was it was an experience. Very true, Mr. Ben. They would flip if got steep enough. Yeah, like I said, that just because she was coming down and the semi was coming up, they said because of the speed they were both going towards each other, that the air from that semi hit the flat front end on that Bronco and then hit right underneath it. You know, the old, they had that big chunk of plastic that bolted up there and came down, made like a little scoop. Said it hit that and just picked the front end up long enough to get it to start doing this at 55 mile an hour, and sucker turned sideways, went about 7 times. The seat belts and the safety materials were wonderful, but yeah, nope, she never wanted one after that. My mate had a Craig Loud's signature, oh, excuse me, signature bonnet on his boss, but he ended up smashing it. My God. Wow. That is insane. We did have a lot of fun and we managed to survive it. How, I question sometimes. I wonder how we managed to survive it, but we managed to survive it. Mine was a 2.95 speed. I met Loud Z2, had a good chat with him when I did fire rescue at V8 in Darwin. I had garages 1 and 2. Hmm. Man, I can't believe it's quarter till 10 already. I got to start disregarding my health and stuff like that, and quit skipping out on these Mondays. So after I manage to skip out on one or two, then I come back on here and time just blows by. Oh yeah, actually it is. Gets pretty bad when you can see better out of sunglasses than you can see out of regular glasses indoors. Oh, once again, we've managed to cover a lot of stuff this morning. Cars, Jan's Place, Australian geography for 400, Alex. That depends on the callers they block. Nah, that's true. These don't really block anything, though. That's the bad thing about. I mean, they're good glasses. I don't get a headache off of them. Drew and Tony, if you want to see some great car racing, check out the V8 supercars, especially Bathurst. A couple of U.S. car racers took a couple passenger laps, and it scared them. Beep boop, a boop boop. I have watched Bathurst a couple times, or V8 supercar stuff. You know, and it's funny, me and the old man were just talking yesterday about supercars and funny cars and stuff like that. He was watching drag racing on TV, and I told him, I said, I always wondered, we have two very nice full length drag tracks here in the state of Michigan, but you don't see anything on TV with those tracks. And I mean, I've driven by there before. I've seen funny cars and well known racing teams' trailers parked in the parking lot. It's only like 100 yards off the road. And you can see the tower, you can see everything, bleachers on both sides of the track, just a straight track. And we've had dragsters out there, we've had funny cars out there, but you never see them featured on any of the channels on TV. I always wondered why, because they're nice places, privately owned. They dump all kinds of money into them, and they draw some crowds. We've gone by there on like a Friday or a Saturday night before, and there's the stands on both sides of the track are full. So Bathurst is at Mount Panorama, and they closed the mountain for public roads. The only race I really follow is Le Mans, and as if the U.S. manufacturer ran it. Garage 56 Camaro was great. Never saw a 56. I saw a 68. You saw a 69. Never saw a 56. But then again, that's like Corvettes. I've seen, old Corvette Stingrays, pre 80s Corvette Stingrays, but I've never seen Stingray split window. Oh, 56 is the garage number. It was a newer NASCAR Camaro. I didn't even know that they were using Camaros in NASCAR. 63. I thought they had like a 57 or something like that that was a split window. Mount Panorama is the most historic race in racing. I'm going to have to look into Mount Panorama because honestly, I've never heard of it. I don't know. Let me see. I have this at my access now. I don't got to type. 1957 split window Stingray Corvette.
The split window design was not a feature of the 1957 Corvette. It was exclusively featured on the 1963 Corvette Stingray split window coupe.
Well, there you go. You were right. You were right. I was wrong. Exclusive to the 1963 split window coupe. I should know better than to doubt you. You would think by now, all the years of you proving me wrong, I should be used to it. I should just accept it with a smile and the grace that, yeah, I should. Totally agree. Ben and Bathurst, 1000. I cook myself. I cooked myself a Bathurst Breaky. Most years, the mountain has claimed a few lives due to racing. Okay, now I have to ask, since we only have like 6.5 minutes left. What is a Bathurst Breaky? I mean, you're talking food, so now you're into my wheelhouse. You're into stuff I understand. What is a Bathurst Breaky? The preps for Bathurst. You know, inquiring minds want to know what is a Bathurst Breaky? Spectators burning booze to get around the limits. Huh? Spectators burning booze to get around the limits. We don't want any suspect. I gave it the office. Oh, goodness gracious. Up Darwin, every Bathurst 1000 race day, we'd cook bacon, eggs, snags, tomatoes with cheese, toast, baked beans, and pig out before getting pissed. Plant it in a hole in the ground. Oh, burying booze to get around the limits. Gotcha. Yeah, I figured a snag was like a, here a snag is when you walk past something that's got a point or an edge to it and you snag your clothes, meaning that you put like a little run in the clothes, put a little hole in it. That's what we call snagging here. But I figured, yeah, you our our bastardized language here started all over there. Well, over that way. You guys are facing the west. That's the east. So everywhere from there to there, that's where our language started at. So I figured you guys had a totally different meaning to it. Ding ding, sing, there you go. Snags. What kind of sausage? You're talking about my favorite food group. What kind of sausage? I like Italian sausage. I like bratwurst. I like smoked sausage. I like boiled sausage. I like baked sausage. If it's sausage, I'll eat it. I have never met a sausage I could not conquer. That sounds that sounds strangely weird, but mysteriously good. Cook bacon, eggs, sausage, tomatoes with cheese, toast, baked beans, and pig out before hitting the piss. I would have never imagined baked beans, bacon, and eggs going together. Oh, I like bangers. We have a an inn in South Bend. It's called Fiddler's Hearth, and they're supposed to be a Gaelic place. They have food from Wales, from England, from Scotland, Ireland, um, the Northlands. Bloody hell. But bangers and mash, love it. Love it. Generally, they were just cheap beef ones, but I really like chicken flavored ones. Huh? Oh, I've never even seen a chicken flavored sausage here. And most of our sausage is made out of pork. Uh, I don't even think our store carries a beef sausage. I'll have to look and see next time we go up there. Yep, you too, Tony. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next week. Like a continental breakfast, pig out is to stuff your face and then get to drinking. I got you. That makes sense. Um, I squeeze the mice out of the sausage and turn it into sausage patties. Use it for bacon sausage and egg muffin. There you go. Later, everyone had to run off to another stream. You're good, David. We're bucking out of here now. So you guys all take care. Thanks for joining us for the last couple hours. We will be back. Oh, mince it out. I kind of figured Mice is a mice, I think, regardless of where you go. I didn't figure you had mice in your sausage, but hey, to each their own, I guess. I don't know. I've heard of weirder stuff being put in food. But you guys take care. Have a good week. Of course, I'll be filming on Friday night, probably Saturday night as well, down here at the Beach Bash. It'll be a heck of a time. Of course, I'll get copyright the heck out of it because of the music they all play. But hey, not like I'm monetized or making any money now anyway. So it's not exactly going to hurt to get 8 or 10 copyright nabs on video. But you guys all have fun. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. We'll see you next Monday. Have a good day, y'all.